This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Still waiting in line? Again? That's time you'll never get back. Save time and money with Stamps.com. Over 4 million businesses have skipped the line with Stamps.com. Join them to save up to 90% off carrier rates from your computer or phone right now. Print postage for certified mail, registered mail, and packages in seconds. Then schedule a pickup right from your home or office. For a limited time, go to Stamps.com and use code PODCAST for a free welcome gift. Taxes and fees apply.
In today's episode of The Bridge, I have the sheer joy and honor of sharing the first in a series of interviews with you with my dear friend and colleague, Leslie Humphrey. Get ready. I hope you all are ready because seriously, this first interview is off the chains. So freaking good. It was literally in this first interview that I realized, oh my gosh, we have to have at least 2 more conversations. So get excited. There are so many amazing and inspiring takeaways in this conversation and in Leslie's wisdom and words that I cannot wait to share with you. But before we get started, let me introduce to you our incredible and amazing guest, Leslie. She's a success coach and podcast host and top 1% of a network marketing company, and also an amazing mom to 5 kids who are all adults, by the way. Yes, that's right. Wait till you guys meet Leslie. This is a woman in her 50s who you would never know, who has 5 adult children who are wildly successful, who is also a wildly successful woman herself. And she's so incredibly healthy. And the value she has held around health and well-being and the way in which she has instilled that in her family is so inspiring. With 17 years of experience, Leslie wants to share the depth of knowledge she's learned through the many different seasons of her entrepreneurship and coaching journey, all while raising her kids. Her passion is supporting successful, ambitious women and taking their next leap of faith and going all in to make their ideal financial, personal, and physical goals reality. I'm so honored for you to listen to this episode. I can't wait for you to dive in. Just a couple of takeaways. I have so many notes from this episode. You get to take ownership of your health. And there are no rules, despite what we're always being bombarded with in the media, social media, research all around us. There are no rules. There is no one way or right way or best way to be healthy. And also to not attach to the outcome. And the other thing I want to share, you'll hear Leslie share this at the end, is to be courageous. And we want to call out to all of you listening is please be courageous. Be courageous enough to follow your path to being healthy and well, whatever that looks like for you. Welcome to The Bridge, the show that bridges the gap between Eastern and Western medicine, science and spirituality, physical and energetic health. If you're a leader seeking to heal from within, ultimately achieving the pinnacle of health and well-being for your mind, body, and spirit, then rest assured, this show is tailored just for you. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Rogers, the Sherlock Holmes of health. I'm a trailblazing Harvard-trained epidemiologist turned transformational health coach. Basically, I find the clues that every other healthcare practitioner missed because they were looking in the wrong place. Hi, my friend Leslie. Welcome to the show. I'm so incredibly happy to have you here today. I have told all of our guests how amazing you are, and it's my sheer honor and joy to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor it is. I am delighted to be here with you.
So everyone, Leslie is somebody that is a dear friend and colleague of mine. She is, to me, I feel like, and I was telling her this today before we started recording for you, that to me, she is the embodiment of a trailblazer in so many different aspects. And in one of those ways, most specifically, I feel is related to health. So Leslie, my first question I want to ask you today is that If there were, 10 keys to healthy aging and sustaining your best health in life, what would you tell us is one of those keys?
Rapid fire.
Okay.
Number one, movement every day, no matter what. Movement doesn't have to be, people get so caught up in the rules of you have to work out, and working out has to be at a certain intensity level and burn a certain amount of calories or go a certain number of miles with all these metrics. And I am a firm believer that movement is the foundation of so much of our lives, and being able to stay in movement for your life. And so whether you are in great health, or you are on a health journey to get there, or you are in actual poor health, some type of movement every single day. Two, right off the cuff is relationships, being in relationships, investing in relationships, making sure that you are participating, you are seeking, you are giving health in healthy relationships. And so it doesn't have to be mass quantities. Again, it's not about metrics or anything like that, but that our relationships keep us alive, right? And they keep us vibrant, and being exposed to deeper relationships and other people that you can deep dive into relationships, whether they're people that are like you or really different from you, makes no difference. It's purposing to have healthy relationships that are meaningful and becoming more and more meaningful over time. So that's my second one. And my third one is food, finding this really healthy relationship with food, in the sense that we become obsessed as a society over like these rules around food. And while I have certain things that I avoid in my food intake for longevity and for health, I have certain things that I don't consume frequently or ever. It's not from a place of like being unhealthy, because that is so bad, but it's because I have come to a place that's really comfortable, that when I consume food, I want to feel good about it, because the energy that you feel when you're consuming food is relevant. It's not just that the food in and of itself is good or bad. It's that how you feel about the food that you're eating. If you're eating food and you're feeling that this is guilt, that it is a guilt, or that you are shaming yourself because of what you are eating, then you are compounding negativity into your body, along with something that maybe isn't the best fuel for your body or in the right space, but now you're turning something into something way bigger.
Oh my gosh, can we have a 2-hour-long episode right now, please? If we don't get through all these things today, we're going to need to have you back. First of all, just hallelujah. I wanted to like shout out so many times while you were talking. First of all, yes to all of that. And those perspectives are so incredibly beautiful. There's so many things that I want to touch on in just those three, across those three tips. First, let's go back to movement and start there. There's the scientific theory, right? That objects in motion tend to stay in motion. And I think you hit on something so important, is that it's not just about having those in our lives that support our health and well-being and help us continue to be the best versions of ourselves, but it's about the attitude and energy with which we come toward those things too, right? It's about the stories and we're telling ourselves about those things too. Am I moving because I have to today? Or am I moving because I get to? Am I moving because I'm supposed to do this to be healthy? Or am I moving because, oh my God, look at this. Like I literally was born with 2 legs and 2 arms. And I am so lucky that I can go outside and take a walk because it's sunny outside. That stuff matters too. And I love that you hit on that without necessarily like saying it.
Yes.
So when it comes to movement, I'd love to ask you this question. I think there are a lot of people who still have that attitude of, well, I have to, I should. I don't like to exercise. I've heard people even say things like, I don't like to sweat, which is a little disturbing. So to those of you listening,
Right.
recognize that sweat needs to happen for your body to release and help you detoxify. So it's a very healthy and good thing. We want you to sweat. No one cares.
Right.
So tell me, when it comes to movement, I love the way that I love your perspective toward it. And like you said, a lot of times, and I think social media, to be honest, and this is coming from, two women who hang out on social media. I think on social media, there's a tendency to very easily get stuck in those patterns of, oh, well, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right kind of movement? Is this the kind of movement that's going to get me a six pack? Is this the kind of movement that's going to help me be fit and trim? Which is the kind of movement? Is it, and same with food, is it the keto diet?
Yes,
Because they say it's the keto diet. Oh, look, well, those ladies over there say it's plant-based. We'll see. Oh, those people over there say this. And we tend to get, I think, into these mindsets where it's almost like you said, it's the energy with which we're coming at it. We're coming at movement now from this perspective that it's a thing I have to do. It's a chore. I don't know which kind of movement to make, to use. Am I supposed to go to the gym, or should I take a walk? Should I get on the treadmill, or do I do yoga? Which thing? But your perspective doesn't come at it like that. You're not judging yourself and thinking critically about every type of movement you decide to do. Can you give our listeners some advice on how, first of all, I have a feeling, my intuition tells me this is probably just how your perspective has always been, but I'm not sure. So first, I'd love to know, has this always been your perspective of movement? If you ever had to make a shift in your perspective, like, tell us how you did that. And if this is just how it's always been for you, and even if it hasn't been, as a follow-up question, I'd love to know how you would help our listeners who want to move and desire to, but seem to like have this kind of like, again, objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest. And let's face it, once we've, sat around for a while, it's easier to stay still than it is to look outside and see all those people running down on jogs and think, oh, okay. It's like, all right, I really, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go. I'm going to go too.
Right. I love that. Well, so I'm going to start with the end question. And that is around how to get someone, or how to help someone get from this place of they are inactive, they're guilting and shaming themselves that they should be, so they're shooting all over themselves.
And I can guarantee there's going to be a lot of people listening to this that are going to think, that's me. So tell us what you have to say.
People tell me this all the time. Because if you follow me on social media, you know that exercise is a big thing for me. But so people will tell me, like, I see you, you make me tired just looking at you. But that's a small part of what I do in a week. Because I do a couple of workouts a week that are really intense, and I'm going to give you the why behind that in a minute. But
I would love that.
But for the person that is sitting there like, I know I should be doing this. I know I should be doing more. I know I should be working out, going to the gym. The perspective needs to start with that general space of movement, not movement to get a six pack, not movement to be able to run or to lose weight, but movement because you have a God-given, like you owe it, you have the ability to move in some way. So you must, if you're not grateful for that, where is that going to go? Right. So start with gratitude. And I encourage everyone, if you are struggling to move in a day, start with a gratitude walk every single day. It doesn't have to be a 30-minute walk or a 1-hour walk. It doesn't have to be long to count. You don't compare it to somebody else's walk. If you are not walking in a day, if you are not moving in a day, start with a 5-minute gratitude walk, no headphones, no nothing, but literally walking 5 minutes around the block and just going through all the things you're grateful for. And something that I like to prompt people with is think of if you only get to wake up tomorrow with the things that you had gratitude for today, what would what would that look like and sound like today? So take a walk and think about that. And that can be your prompt to how you're incorporating movement. And then before you know it, that 5-minute walk is a 20-minute walk. And it didn't make you late for work. And it didn't make you miss something else important. Because what it actually does is it expands your time, the time you invest into movement and into your body in that way, which is a positive thing. You're double downing on habits. One is a gratitude habit and one is a movement habit. And one, if you're walking outside, it's adding outdoor time, right?
Yes.
So you can habit stack that, which is a huge way to collapse the time, right? Everyone talks about time being a thing. They don't have enough time, but the reality is we can stack things up and make time work for us. And so start with gratitude walk. If movement is a struggle for you, get rid of the comparison game. No need to compare what somebody else is doing or what their morning routine looks like. I went, when for a while over the last few years, people really talked about the morning routine, and people go on and on in the morning routine about all of this, like stretching and yoga and this workout and that workout. And I'm like, too many rules, because the reality is when we try to live by somebody else's rules in that regard, what we do is we self-shame, and then we end up in a place of shoulding again. And when we're shoulding all over ourselves, we are not showing up for ourselves. And so start from a place of, okay, I'm not doing the things that support the health. So how can I start off? Something is better than nothing. Progress over perfection. That is one of my mantras in everything, is progress over perfection. Period. The end. No need to compare. No need to decide, okay, I'm going to show up today because I want to run a 5K. I'm all about goal setting and all of that, and that's fine. But that is taking then you're putting yourself in this perspective that of different rules. Right. So I could go on and on about that. Clearly
this is so helpful. And you actually mentioning the rules, I think, is really important, because like you said, I love that. I actually wrote that down. When we're shoulding ourselves, we're not showing up for ourselves. That is exactly right. Because if you think about it, when we say, well, I should do this, and why are you doing that? Well, because I know I should. Why do you do this? Well, I know I should. When we're doing that, then who are we really doing it for?
Well, and what are the reasons?
Exactly.
Because typically then that means that we're doing it because we think it's for an end result that is probably not in alignment with what the reality is. So, and along those lines, I caught myself a couple weeks ago. I had a scheduled workout. I have a home gym, and it was a day the schedule was I was working out in my home gym. I do classes and do other things in other places, but that day was in the home gym. So it was really easy to kind of negotiate what time I was going to show up.
Right.
It was really easy to be like, well, let me just finish this project at my desk. And I had to like, the expression I use is flip my own switch, have a conversation with myself that said, if I did not feel well today, or if I were laying in a hospital bed today, I would give anything to be able to work out. The conversation in my head would be, what I wouldn't give to be able to go work out if I was dealing with an injury or whatever. And so at just having that very brief conversation with myself, I wasn't like shaming myself. But it was a quick conversation of gratitude to say, I am so grateful that I can work out, that I am able to work out. I scheduled this in my day because it is important to me. It is in alignment with my personal goals and my belief system. And along with that, if I choose to let myself out of it, that's not what I actually want. And so the way that I flipped that switch was just to continue the conversation and say, if I weren't well today, if I weren't feeling well, or if I were in the hospital or any of those things, I would yearn for this workout. And off I went.
And it was that easy for you. And I love that I love the way that you're bringing in gratitude here, because this is something I also talk about my clients my clients, because we know that everything starts out, including with our health and well-being, even the stuff we see manifest in a physical way, it all starts as energy, right? This is why we're saying things in this conversation, like, that bodies in motion tend to stay in motion. Everything is tied to these and grounded in these principles and scientific laws that literally govern the universe. And so we know that we are all made up of energy. And what helps create the energy that we are vibrating at on any given day, or that we are putting out, which also has everything to do with the kind of health that we are having and attracting. There's so much of it that we will assign to, as if like we don't want to take personal responsibility for it. If we don't, then, and we continue to avoid, then it can be so much easier. But I love that you're tying in this energy concept, because gratitude, I always tell my clients, is one of the most powerful forms of energy. And if you want to move yourself out of a place of fear, negativity, anything that doesn't feel healthy and good and positive and isn't based and rooted in love, the easiest thing to do is just be grateful. And like you said, it's not just about saying, well, I'm grateful. It's not just about writing down. I don't want you to just get out a piece of paper and write, I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful for my car. You have to feel it. That's why I love this concept that you shared of going on a quick gratitude walk. I'm actually going to start sharing that with clients and doing it myself, because that's such a beautiful thing. I will often go out and just take a quick walk, but being intentional about adding the gratitude in and habit stacking, like you said, is so incredibly important and beautiful. So I just wanted to highlight those things.
I love it.
Before we move on from this topic of movement, I'm going to ask you this question because my intuition tells me it's running through the minds of some of our listeners. Run me through a week for you of what movement might look like. You do a variety of different things, and I guarantee there's people listening that are wondering what you do.
So I have a garage gym, and in that I end up doing a lot of sequences that are similar. It's functional fitness, but at a very intense level, like box jumps, and I have a rower. And so maybe I'll do kettlebell swings, box jumps, and a 500-meter row. So those three things on repeat for like 45 minutes or something like that. The other day, I intended to do 45 minutes and I got out there after 20 minutes and something came up and I had to be done with it. But you know what? I worked it. I did what I could do. I showed up for it.
That's amazing.
Felt amazing. And then I was done. And so again, not having the rules like, oh, it doesn't count if you don't hit 45 minutes so that might be twice a week. I have, my daughter is a coach at a group fitness program. And so I do that. It's high intensity interval training. So I do that twice a week to be with her. And you know what? It's not necessarily something that, is the only way to achieve the results or whatever, but it's a group class. So it exposes me to something completely different. The rotation of the exercises is unique and I get to be with her. And so there's back to the three things, movement and relationships. It's the habit stacking, right?
You're doing it at the same time.
Right. And so there's quality time there. Even though she's the coach of the whole class, it is a quality time because then we end up talking about it later, or she will call me and say, hey, I know you normally come on Fridays, but on Thursday, the workout is this. And I know you really like those. And so it adds another layer of quality to my life. So I do this, so these group fitness classes, and then I walk my dogs. Some days, like if it's a day that I am not scheduled to do a full workout, I will do. I don't know. A lot of people haven't heard of it, but some have. It's something called rucking. So RUCK, rucking, and it's wearing like a backpack, like a weighted backpack, and it was born from military training because but I put on a rucksack, a backpack with a weight in it, and then I will walk my dogs, and my heart rate won't get up. I mean, it goes maybe, so I'm in my 50s. And so, my intense heart rate when I'm really going hard will range between 145 and 165 on average. But when I'm rucking, my heart rate won't even get up to 100. But so it's showing you that I still value the movement, and carrying the extra weight changes. It uses my support muscles. And again, it allows me to be outside. It allows me to be in gratitude. It sets me up for longevity as functional fitness. As you get older, if you go down, you want to be able to get back up. You want to make sure you can always get on the toilet. You want to, right? Like,
absolutely.
So that just carrying extra weight, rucking while I walk the dogs, making sure that if it was a day that I was in my office all day, or it was a down day for me from workouts, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing the gratitude walks, that I'm walking my dogs, that I'm just in movement. Some weeks I have 3 hardcore workouts in a week and lots of walks. Other weeks I have more than that, but it has nothing to do with weight. It has nothing to do with wanting abs or big booty or any of that. Although I appreciate all of that as someone whose background is in fitness and wellness, I can appreciate the aesthetics.
Me too.
But the thing that happened for me, and this goes back to one of your first questions, was that I found myself preaching one thing, but subconsciously wanting to perform for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
And so I was somewhat obsessed with the physical, and I had to release that to make sure that I could then be grateful in the body that I have. Because as someone who has been in fitness forever. Literally since I was 15. And that, knowing that I had to be so grateful for the body that I have been able to continue to do what I do, and not just share with other people and teach other people, but live it myself and know that I can wake up in the morning and feel amazing, and that I can, right? Like, I know a lot of people that are in the stage that I'm in their lives, and they are not feeling like $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. And movement is it. And it has nothing to do, because I know people that have the physique that I at one time was like, that would be my ultimate. Yeah. And they don't feel like I feel.
Mm-hmm. It's not just about the physical body. I love every single word of what you just said. And a couple of things I want to highlight that I think are important points that come out of that too are your description just highlights that there are no rules. Right. And there is no right way or specific way that's the best way for everyone to follow to achieve some certain outcomes. That's not what it's about at all. And I think that is really important for us to remember, because I think we live in a world where we're constantly being bombarded with messages that try my thing, try this workout, try that thing, try my supplement, try this, try that. And it can get overwhelming for people. And I think for us to just be able to always come back to the truth inside of ourselves and remember, like, we know what's best for us. We also get to make the rules. And I think you also highlighted something really important that I don't know if we've specifically said word for word. And it's to let go of the outcomes. Like you said, when and I think that is one of the most important lessons when it comes to trying to achieve anything, any result, whether it's for our health, for our businesses, for anything. When we can detach from the outcome, that changes everything. Because then, like you said, we're just doing it for an entirely different energetic reason, really. And like you said, I think it's so important. Let's face it, our bodies, every single one of ours listening, are going to change. Our bodies are going to get older. We're all going to have these experiences. There is nobody here listening that is immune or going to escape the aging process unless you are going to die today. And we're sorry for that. And we wish you well on your transition. But for the rest of us who are going to stick around, we all have to be able to continue to love and accept our bodies as they grow, change, and age in whatever state that they look like. And that and just because our physical structures and physiques might change, like you're getting at, doesn't mean we're not healthy.
That's right. And just along a similar line is that the rules and everything that is out there, because we have
Yep.
our phones and the internet and social media at our fingertips at all times. We are bombarded with all of this information. And as someone I am a person, and you and I have had this discussion before. I am a person that is I am a learner.
Yep.
And I can be very obsessed with learning.
Me
and
too.
Deep diving into new information and whatnot.
Me too.
And at one point I can't remember if it was reading something or listening to a podcast, and they were talking about where the 10,000 steps a day came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so I may ruffle some feathers here, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But they were saying that is actually a random number, and it was designed to get people to purchase. I think it was the Fitbit, but I don't know for sure. I like I said, I don't recall where I got the information, but they were talking about, it was just like a random number that they attached to some kind of monitoring system to sell it for marketing. And there's no science behind it. And that goes back to, okay, a 5-minute gratitude walk might just be the very thing that transforms what's going on inside your body at the cellular level for that day. Has nothing to do with 10,000 steps.
Yes.
And while 10,000 steps might be something fun to measure if you're sitting behind a desk all day, we've heard the latest research is saying that, sitting is the new smoking, right?
Yes, and it is.
Sitting so much. So why not release the metric of 10,000 steps and go back into the fitness freedom, where we are all about, how can I make myself show up really well for the next hour? Well, maybe I'm going to take 5 minutes. Okay, I know that at lunch, I've been sitting all day. So why don't I have a bite to eat and then get into some form of movement, whether it's squat holds and planks, or whether it's walking and gratitude, or whatever. We don't have to mold everything into this really intense structure that follows someone else's system. And as someone who loves learning other people's system and other people's processes and workouts, I love a really great workout. Like, give me a really great workout and I am here for it. However, within that same framework, it tends to be an all or nothing rule. And then we've completely undone what we are setting out to do, which is to just show up for ourselves and create health. My whole philosophy is adding health into your life.
Yes.
If we are focusing on adding health instead of all of these crazy rules with food and with timelines and steps and
and we, all the rules, even around remember, over the past, I feel like it was really more in the past 10 years, there was I feel like the trending phrase, oh, I have a cheat day. As if we assign labels to well, if this is how I'm going to treat my body today, then that has to be called a cheat day. Why? So just the labels that we put on things. And you are making so many important points. And I think fitness freedom is so incredibly beautiful. And I wrote that phrase down because I want to be able to just remember it and share it more. But I think something else you're getting at is that the research components. And I want to mention that because I love that you brought that up. And that I'm a researcher. So I want to address that. And Leslie says something important. And like she said, that may have ruffled some of your feathers, it may have triggered some of you. But let me tell you, coming from a scientific researcher's standpoint, that I stand by what she shares. And here's why. Because I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, I've seen research studies about the 10,000 steps. You have. I can tell you I've been a researcher on some of those studies, so I know you've seen them. But why did we focus on that number in research? Leslie is telling you that that's where a lot of things happen. And this is where I think it's important for people to take research with a grain of salt. If you are not a trained expert like me, who can read a research study and understand how to read between the lines, which is something I'm going to train everybody on this podcast how to do on your own, because I think we're in this era where we're bombarded with information, but we don't know which health information to trust and whether it's and how to know whether that information is actually right and applicable to us. Right. Yes. So one of the things I want you all to think about, if you decide you'd like to go look for any of those research studies, you're welcome to send them my way and I'm happy to discuss them. But what I'd like you to do before you send me any of those references would be to please go look for the funding source of the study itself. You will often find that studies that appear to be valid, that appear to be methodologically sound, and so therefore are ethically, are ethical studies. They actually aren't so ethical after all when you look at where the funding for the study came from and who specifically funded the study. But I think that you're getting at some really important things. And I would encourage everybody to just be skeptical. So if just because somebody says, or you read on the poster in the doctor's office that 10,000 steps is good, does not mean that if you are not taking that number of steps a day, that you're in some way, shape, or form failing. So let me tell you briefly, before I ask Leslie another question, what the research does show us. And it actually is supporting what Leslie is telling us today, which is that we are finding, and actually research now is going back over 10 years, showing us just how dangerous being a sedentary person is for our overall health and well-being. If you think about it, everybody, let's for real, think back. Humans were not designed to be sedentary beings, right? We did not arrive here on planet Earth and just decide, you know what? Okay, everybody, here's what we need to do. Everyone gather around. Here's what we need to do. We need to set up some places for us to live, some ways for us we need to plant some food. Let's get this all done as fast as possible because the top priority is for us to be able to create a chair so that we can all go inside there and sit. Because really, we just want to make sure we can create all this so that we can all just go sit down. Mm-hmm. Nobody was right. Nobody was out in the garden or out on the farm and saying, you know what I'd really love to do today? Sit on the couch. They probably were not even having those kinds of conversations. Sure. We've just, our society's evolved so much, but we don't have, what I don't want people doing, and what Leslie, I want to thank you for helping our guests do is letting go of the need to feel like there's some thing you must follow to do it, to quote unquote, do it right. Mm-hmm. Whatever's right for you is whatever is right for you. Mm-hmm. You get to make the rules, you get to decide. And I just think these things are so incredibly important. And I want you to do your own research, because what the research does show us now, Leslie, is that number one, like you said, sedentary behavior is very dangerous if you do it consistently and persistently. Mm-hmm. But what it actually also shows us backs up what you're saying about just go take a 5-minute walk, because the emerging physical activity research actually shows us that small bouts of activity or movement are extremely healthy and helpful. Small bouts meaning literally getting up and just getting out for a 5 or 10 minute walk. Mm-hmm. So, and research also does support that walking is one of the healthiest and safest forms of exercise. So you guys do not have to get crazy. You don't need to go to a gym, get a trainer and get out get out the weight rack. You don't have to go to a yoga class because your friend wants you to, but you secretly think you might hate yoga. Like go do what feels good for your body. And if all you want to do is just walk, that is the best thing you could probably do. Leslie, this is bringing up a question I'd love to ask you. For any of our listeners out there who maybe recognize that they've been being more sedentary than they like, or, because of like people like us, a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs who, unfortunately, we work from home. We spend a lot of time sitting in front of our screens, and we'd like to break that pattern up. Maybe what would you suggest, like for somebody who just wants to get started, going from being sedentary just to making a change today? Mm-hmm. What kind of advice would you give that person?
So I love this question because, again, it's progress over perfection, and it's the no rules. So gratitude walk, start the day with gratitude walk.
Yeah,
for sure. if you're in a place where, depending on what time you get up, if you're getting up at 4:30 in the morning and it's not a good idea to go walk in the dark, then that's something different. Do it when you can.
Yeah.
But if you're in a position where you can get out when at the break of sun, when sun is coming up and you're getting those first sunlight rays on your skin, in your eyes, right? When you can be exposed to early first sunlight and do it while you're in movement, and pairing that or stacking that with a gratitude walk or prayer, meditation, that type of thing, where you're moving, but that's the place to start.
Yep.
Because it will, within your body, it will have an impact all the way down to that cellular level, on so many different ways, right? Not just the physical movement, but
yes.
And then what you will find when you are consistent with that, say 3 days in a row, well, your timeline will just evolve. You will end up going from 5 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever you start with. And again, there's no rule here. So the starting point is to start. So that's my first thing. Start.
Yes.
If you can't do the morning, do it after dinner, because the impact that has on your blood sugar has shown that it is brilliant on your blood sugar.
Yeah,
so if you're
that's very true.
If you're starting from really sedentary, then the after dinner walk is a great place to start as well. So then making sure that we've all got our phones at our fingertips all day. And especially those of us that are entrepreneurs and working from home. And if you're I build my life is definitely done in seasons, right? So I have seasons that are more intense than others, right? So I'm in a season where I am working more hours than I typically would. And so in that season, I must set alarms and reminders throughout my day to get up, to get out of my office, right? I have a stand-up desk. That is something, just being upright. I sit a lot of the time because I'm at my desk a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm not standing up all day. However, if you find that you're sitting at your desk all the time, then if you can set it up to where you can stand up for even just 5 to 10 minutes on every hour at your desk, that's a great thing to add in. And then last thing I would say, as far as that starting point, is to schedule for yourself 1 day a week that you are intentionally trying something new that revolves around movement.
I love that.
We all have these preconceived ideas of what we like and don't like. Like you were saying, if your friend wants you to come do yoga and you think you won't like it. Okay. So I don't do it if you don't like it. However, I believe that a lot of us subconsciously don't try things that we really want to try when it comes to movement.
Yes.
Because we don't think we're going to be good at it, or because we think we're going to look foolish.
Exactly. Like I can tell you, I think, about just like taking dance classes. I grew up a dancer, and I've been missing being back in dance classes, but I can absolutely admit there's this part of me that's like, every time I think about signing up, I'm like, oh God, it's been so many years. Like I'm so out of practice, but but like you said, isn't that the stuff we all do? Nobody's watching you when you come to the gym and thinking, look at her, she's only lifting 5 pounds,
So a couple years ago,
this is such a good point.
maybe like, I don't know, in my early 50s, I had a birthday, and my kids, so I have 5 adult kids, and every birthday, they're like, okay, what are we doing for your birthday? What's the thing? And that particular year I had said, well,
you're amazing.
I think,
by the way, I was going to say, we haven't even got to talk about the topic of this woman and how she is this extremely gorgeous, doesn't look anywhere near her age woman who has somehow also raised 5 adult children. And don't worry, she's coming back so we can talk about that in health, keep going.
Thank you for that. And so randomly, I was like, well, I heard about this sport called pickleball, and sidebar, I heard it was and I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard it's the number 1 fastest growing sport.
Okay. I recently heard this too. And now there's no coincidence you've brought up pickleball, because I'm not sure if everyone listening knows this yet, but Leslie is in Florida. When I went to Florida for the first time, there were like pickleball courts everywhere. Everyone's talking about this game called pickleball. I'd never heard of it before. The only thing I think of when I think of pickles is Pittsburgh, because that's where I'm from. And Heinz is there. And literally every year in Pittsburgh, they do this thing called Pickle Fest. And it's this big, gigantic deal. So I feel like I need to know about pickleball.
For my birthday, they went out, they got all these pickleball paddles because it's a and it's like a shrunken tennis court. And so they bought all the stuff and we went for my birthday and we're Googling the rules, all these, and we went out there and knowing that we were going to look ridiculous. And as a matter of fact, just talking about this, how people, you were saying like, nobody cares if you're lifting 5 weights. You know what? You might 5 pound weights, but you know what? Somebody might judge you. We got there and we were getting on the courts and this guy was sitting on a bench and he said, did you get those paddles from Amazon or whatever? I don't know, something. And we were like,
you had crappy pickleball paddles. How dare you?
He's like, he had all this stuff to say. And we're like, dude, like we're playing pickleball for the first time. We're out here. We're learning. We're
amateurs over here.
Yeah. We're not professing that we're going to look good or know what we're doing. He was so judgy. And we were like, okay, well, sorry for your life because I don't even understand. But we had a blast. And since then, we play pickleball. As a matter of fact, I was coming in to record this. My kids popped over and they were like, hey, we're going to pickle. It's been so much fun. We do it as, bits and like today, 2 kids will go do it. In a couple of days, maybe my husband and myself and 2 kids will do it. But the thing is we found a way that we can invest time together and movement. And we learned something new. Yeah. Right. And it's not in a box. It's not this thing in a box that says, I must do this and robotic and cold.
Yes.
Like it's connected to warm feelings. It's connected to learning new things, being proud, right. Moving my body, being outdoors. It's so many things at once. And that's the key to that. Yes. Adding health to your life is how can I stack things up to work in congruence with one another?
Absolutely. And I feel like too, you have to be helping all of our listeners shift their perspective, because think about it. How many things do we all probably do on a daily basis that we're just not thinking about it from that perspective and realizing, oh my gosh, when I'm doing this one thing, it's not just one thing I'm doing for my health, because now I've gotten my energy around that. Now I'm feeling positive. Like you just said, what the key I think you hit whenever you're talking about how you feel when you play pickleball with your family, that was the key. You're talking about how you feel fun and it's joyful and you're happy and it feels good. And those are the moments when I think we have to stop and recognize, oh, here I am aligned with my natural state. This is what healthy feels like.
Yes.
And I love that because I feel like that's exactly it just feels so aligned with that statement. And I love that, Leslie. And you talking about your family, will you please, can I have you come on for like part 2 and part 3? I think we need a 3-part series because you're talking about extremely important topics that I think we almost simplify so much that we forget that there's a lot of depth to them, right? Food, exercise, relationships. These things sound, I think, like simple, basic things, but I mean, look, I could easily talk for an entire another hour about just this topic of movement with you alone. There are so many more things that we could go into and, paths we could go down together. So what I'd really love to do is invite you back and have us pick up literally right where we left off here. And as part 2 of this series, we're just going to go right into relationships because that is such an important topic. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to over the years in my private practice that have come to me, women especially, kind of secretly and quietly telling me, like, I really want to be healthy. I really want to do this kind of work. I really want to do X, Y, and Z, but my husband or my partner or whoever, they don't really support that journey. So I just, and I think it's so important for us to start talking about this topic of relationships. And you, like I said at the beginning, when we started recording, Leslie to me is such a trailblazer in many different aspects. And this is one of them, you guys. we're going to get into this much more on part 2, but I'm going to let Leslie tell you about what an incredible mother she is, what an amazing family she has raised, and what that has to do with health and well-being, how she personally how she raised her family to be healthy, how she instilled those values in her kids, how she carried them through the challenges of being a mom of 5 and a successful woman. And even now to this day, how you clearly carry this into your life. You can maintain these positive relationships with your kids and the people that are important to you. But I also have no doubt that you've navigated challenges with relationships, and in the process of, as we grow, some people we fall out of alignment with, and we fall into alignment with a new kind of person. So I'd love for us to talk about that too, because I think there, again, just like movement, we'll easily talk for an hour about movement and relationships. And then I want you to come back on for part 3, and then we'll talk about food. Does that sound okay?
I would love that.
So Leslie will be back, everybody, for at least parts 2 and 3. But what I'd like for you all to do as you're listening to our conversations is, if this is bringing up other questions that you would love to hear us talk about, please reach out to support@drelizabethrogers.com and let us know. Leslie, before you go, tell everybody here, I've shared your bio before we started, but tell everybody here how they can stay connected with you, how they can find you, any of that kind of stuff. I want everybody to know.
Thank you so much. Well, I will share that in one second. I would like to just kind of wrap up with one.
Please do.
Maybe this is just a call to action.
Yes.
And that would be, I want to challenge your listeners. So I want to challenge the listeners to be courageous enough to embrace health for what they feel it is right now for them. That you don't need to follow all of the rules of what the ultimate success in health might look like, or someone else says it is. Be courageous enough to go and follow what your path is for right now, because the future, 3 months from now, or when you can run a 5K, or when you can do something else because your health is better, is irrelevant. What we have is today. And so we must be courageous enough to go against the rules and go against what everyone else says is success, and trust our own intuition to take action today to improve your own health, and do it in a space that is celebratory, empowering, and uplifting for you.
That is the truth. It is loud out there in the universe, and we are getting a lot of messages, and we're being told a lot of things, and we're being shown a lot of things. But the best thing any one of us can do is be courageous enough to remember that we know what's best for us, and to follow it, and to just follow it and trust that. Just trust it. Thank you for giving us the gift of you. Thank you for the gift of your time and energy, some of the most valuable things you have. It means everything to me. Thank you for being here today. I love you so much, and I cannot wait to see you on part 2.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of The Bridge, a transformational health podcast with Dr. Elizabeth Rogers. To learn more about my work and ways you can get support to transform your own health, head to my website, drelizabethrogers.com. Don't forget, Rogers has a D and a G. You can find a link in the show notes too. I hope you can feel the big boost of positive energy I'm sending all around right now. Can't wait to connect with you on the next episode.
When was the last time you felt in control of your business finances? Expenses tracked, invoices sent, taxes ready. That's where Found comes in. Found brings your banking, bookkeeping, invoicing, and taxes together in one simple app. Manage expenses, invoice clients, send payments, and prep for tax time right where you bank. Join the hundreds of thousands who have already streamlined their finances with Found. Open a Found account for free at found.com. That's FOUND.com. Found is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided by Lead Bank, member FDIC.